So today I've got a Schwinn Breeze, probably an early 70s era bike. I'm not really sure. Could be late 60s as well. And it's a bike that obviously hasn't been used in quite a long time. But best I can tell, for the most part, it's in operating condition. It just needs to be cleaned and a few things, reconditioned here and there. The gears seem to shift. Maybe it needs a little bit of lubrication. Maybe this headset needs a little grease. And definitely things like the seat need to be cleaned up and shined up, and the tires are maybe a little bit rough shape. We'll have to decide what to do with those. But it's mostly going to be a cleanup though, so I'm going to just take you through the steps that I do to make these bikes not restored, but just basically ready for someone else to ride, just for something to take to the beach or whatever they want to do on Cape Cod.
So I took some pictures of the bike before I did anything to it. It's got flat tires and it's fairly dirty, some mold on the seat, and generally has promise, but definitely some corrosion on it, so quite a bit of work to clean this one up. I chose this bike because I just find it to be a very interesting design. It kind of has that mid-century modern Jetsons kind of look to it, which I really find appealing. It's stuff when I was a kid we kind of shunned, being a Gen Xer, but now kind of really appreciate, some of the things that we were we thought wasn't cool back whenever we were kids. It's kind of funny when you get older, you kind of realize a lot of things are that way.
So after I pumped up the tires, the next thing I'm going to do is just take some simple green and just go over the whole bike and just try to clean up as much as I can. It'll give me a better idea of exactly what's going on with this bike. So one thing is this seat. I'm kind of worried whether this is going to come out, but it looks like it's kind of mostly just mold. I think it's actually going to clean up with a little bit more work. It's definitely a part of the charm of this seat, of this bike, so I don't want to change that. In fact, a lot of the things on this bike I really would like to keep as is, because it's really part of the way these bikes are. This chrome is really not in too bad a shape considering how old this bike is. These steel wheels usually suffer pretty badly from pitting. Although, the newer chrome isn't nearly as good as some of this older chrome as far as pitting resistance. So a lot of the newer chrome is pretty thin, so whenever it does pit, it just kind of flakes off. This stuff, it usually holds up, and you can use a little bit of fine steel wool and polish it out, at least a good bit of it. This is just 4.0 steel wool, and that does a pretty good job of cleaning up those little pits that are on the chrome. These handlebars have a little bit more extensive pitting, and there'll probably be some places where we can't really get it off, but it's coming off pretty decently. So on bikes like this, often the problem isn't repairing them. It's often, can I clean this up sufficiently to sell it? And so I often tackle things that are cosmetic early on, just because I know that for the most part, sort of like a broken frame or stuck seat post or something, it's not going to be a problem to get the bike working. So here, unfortunately, is a place where it's pretty pitted, and I probably could keep working on it to get that off, but I'm probably just gonna leave that. It's still shiny, but yeah, there's a lot of corrosion in here. So this is what we got after spending about 45 minutes on it. Didn't show you all the details. The chrome came out all right on the wheels. Back wheel's a little bit better than the front one, which is often the case because a little bit more lubrication in the back wheel tends to keep the corrosion down. Seat, a lot better. Use a bristle brush on it with some simple green. And I don't know if I'm going to work on it any harder than that. I'm worried I might damage it if I do too much. So the steering just feels a little notchy. I can feel that there's probably needs some lubrication in here. So using a 1/2 inch to remove the stem. These are these bikes that are Chicago made. Are SAE. And so first I'm going to remove this. There we go. Just needed a little bit of a twist. Case. Not really much corrosion down here though. If you look at it, it's pretty clean. So my plan is to just do kind of a quick and dirty lubrication on this. I'm not gonna get too detailed. I'll clean it up, but I'm not gonna bother trying to take everything apart. Yeah, it looks pretty dry in here. And so kind of letting this all just fall to the floor. So a little bit of wetness here. I think that was from that lube that I sprayed. Really just very, very dry, really. There's not really much grease at all in this, which I'm really surprised about. The bottom one is very much the same way. So we're just gonna spray a little lubricant on this, WD-40 type stuff, and I'm just gonna kind of clean these out, just wiping them down. Pretty clean already, really. Just mostly probably could have just stuck some grease in there and it would have been fine. Wow, I'm amazed at the lack of lubrication in this. So I'm just gonna jam some grease into these bearings. Now I'm gonna try to juggle this back into position. Yeah, that feels much better now. So I think this is the right way to have the cable going underneath, and so I just loosened this up and spun it around, and I think we're in good shape. And finally I'm going to tighten down this headset. That's better. One thing I need to look up is you can see that there's a hole here, And I'm gonna assume this is where the oil goes. This is really caked in muck. You can see I can remove it with my fingernail. But I have a feeling a cap is missing, and it's a fairly specific cap. I think it's got a hexagonal shape to it. So I'm gonna have to do some internet searching on what I can use to plug that up. Because I assume this thing probably has been spilling its oil for a while. And still got to clean up the drivetrain as well. Yeah, I think that's something that may hold up the project of this a little bit. Finding a plug for that. I assume that's not something too hard to find. Just spraying essentially the equivalent of WD-40 on the chain to clean it. A park tool brush and just kind of usually just do it in freewheel. I don't have one of those fancy tools that you use to immerse the chain. I probably should get one, but I find this works pretty well. This and a dirty rag. I also sprayed some on this hub. The WD-40 I'm not using it for lubrication. I'm using it, although it says lubrication. This is an ACE version of it. I'm just using it as a solvent, essentially. It's a solvent that doesn't have too much, doesn't really hurt too many things, and it doesn't really bother me to breathe it that much. So, one way to tackle grime is use just one of these cheap chip brushes that you can get at hardware store or home center, and spray some WD-40 on it, and the handle allows you to kind of get access in there, and kind of gives it a little bit of abrasion to kind of work out some of that greasy stuff. So this spoke is obviously pretty loose. There's a few of them here. I'm just going to show this one spoke, and then I'll go through the rest. Put a little bit of oil on it, and what you're hoping is that if there's any corrosion down here, it kind of frees it up. Then this is the Tri-Flow, which is kind of magic, and this is actually turning really freely, and you can see the tension is already coming up. I'm going to go through and do the same thing on all these spokes, kind of try to get them all about the same tension, and then check and make sure that we've got something that's, yeah, here's another one right here, something that's true. So this is 30 weight oil, which I looked up on the internet, and it seems to be suitable for these hubs. Had no luck with this hexagonal plug or opening. Apparently this is something they went to towards the end. So I've come up with a workaround that I'm going to try. It's just basically a piece of rubber that I've kind of mangled into some kind of hexagonal-like shape. And we'll just see if it actually kind of holds on there. It may not be the best. We'll see. I'll see if I can, maybe I'll find some other alternative as well, but I think something like this is probably the only solution because I don't see anything for sale. I guess they didn't have these for very long. I'm going to lubricate this shifter a little bit with a little Tri-Flow. It seems like it's working okay, but After I put the oil in the hub, it seemed like that problem with the shifting kind of went away. So I think this is kind of good to go.
The brake cable's in pretty bad shape, so I'm going to replace them, and I'll show you that in the upcoming scenes.
Now what I do on these cables, this is a new cable. I put some tri-flow on my finger here and on the cable and just run it along the whole cable length. This is the ferrule here, and then this goes into the cable housing. There's a little ferrule here too that came out whenever I did that, and it's just kind of held in there. Now the cable's coming through here, and we'll just, I think we can just guide that right in. Yep, it's on the other side. You done it. This is free. It's another thing. This is our little adjuster here, and sometimes these get frozen up. I might put some lube on it whenever we're doing the final adjustments. This little adjuster, I'm going to add some tri-flow onto it and work it in a little bit. So another bit of tri-flow here. And work it down the line. Put that in that ferrule. I don't want to kink that cable. There we go. This ferrule isn't quite on there. Okay, now it looks like we're in better shape now. It's a little on the. That's pretty good actually. Might have to do a little bit of truing of the front wheel. And last thing I'm going to do with these brakes is just add a little bit of tri-flow right in the center bolt here in these fittings. Yeah, this front brake is operating really smoothly. Clean up these pedals a little bit, just a little simple green and a scrub brush. This kickstand has just got some sandpaper, fairly coarse, 120. I'm just gonna kind of try to remove some of this markings. I also lubricated this, put a little oil in it seemed to free it up a little bit so that it's a little easier to operate. Ended up fabricating from another piece of rubber a little stopper. It seems to hold in there a little bit better. I think that'll be good enough. It didn't leak overnight, so we'll see. It's the final step. I use this turtle wax, wax and dry. It's pretty inexpensive, and I just spray it on and wipe it off.
So here's what it looks like after finishing up all the work, and I think it turned out pretty nicely. Hopefully somebody will find this hard to resist when they see this at the thrift store and takes it home with them and maybe cleans it up a little bit more. Since it didn't fit me, I had Kristen take it out for a ride, and you can see by the smile on her face, she liked it. And so I think it was a success story. So I haven't posted any videos lately. It's been kind of a interesting winter, spring. We had a couple really big snowstorms, one of them a blizzard, and that kind of closed down the trails, and I took an extended trip out west for a month, which I didn't even ride a bike at all. But I'm back to fixing bikes now, and so I'll try to keep videos coming. Probably not weekly, but probably at least a couple a month, hopefully. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.